That should make us live.
Oh, shit, we're live? Huh, work. What will we do now? I guess we're just gonna have to have an Exalted stream podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than being dead, at least. But oh boy, has things been happening. No sooner did we end the last stream, did news come out that someone just got cancelled.
A lot of people are getting canceled.
Yeah, it's almost like a trend now.
It's affecting wrestling, comics, video games, and everywhere else. At this point, I'm shocked that I'm not canceled yet.
Yeah, this is the reason why I kind of didn't want to be a public face, because I know that if I ever get famous, someone's gonna try to cancel me. Someone out there. Because you know this only happens to people who are well known. Either that, or the people who are not well known, or just so unwell known that we never hear about them.
Sometimes. That is true. Let's see. Voice.
But yeah, just...
Alright, how do I sound, Mike?
I mean, I can hear you, but I haven't quite checked the stream yet because my phone has gotten all crappy. I mean, something bad has happened to my phone. Turns out that the lithium battery started expanding. So it's warping the interior to the point where it's not really connecting to the contacts all that well.
Mike, the moment it starts warping, you have to get that fixed right away, dude.
Yeah. That's why I ordered a new battery. You probably know about this way more than I do.
Well, yes, because I worked in a goddamn phone store.
But it's like, ah, crap. Why does it keep randomly turning off? It's like, then I take the battery out and go like, oh, it probably shouldn't be. It probably shouldn't have that sort of curve to it. I'm pretty sure batteries are supposed to be flat, not round, or at least cell phone batteries.
So Mike, if I can ask you, can you link me? If you can link me the stream, because that way I can post it. Just do it in general, if you don't mind, Mike.
Oh, all right.
Scarfy.
Yeah, sure. One sec. Just give me a sec. I just need to.
Don't worry, I got it.
Oh, you got it?
No, I need it if you don't mind.
But yeah, your audio seems to be doing fine. I mean, I'm using like a laptop to look at the stream now, just to check on it.
All right. Like I said, just send me a link so I can actually link it to people.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. If you don't mind.
Thank you. Alright, one sec. Also, let's... Case...
And also I can look at the chat. That would be helpful.
Oh... What? I'll send it to you through text general.
Yeah. Just, Donkey.
That should be good. Actually, while I'm at it, I should probably start sending my link out to my Minds account as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have yet to get a Twitter account. Although I hear that Twitter is kind of cancer right now.
Twitter's always cancer. Yeah,
I was toying with the idea of calling this stream the Cancer Culture stream, because that's generally what cancel culture has become now.
Yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people are gonna see a dark screen right now while I'm sending the stream out, because I don't want them to see Discord. Yeah, don't worry, guys. Just pretend that this is Blackout Tuesday.
It's true.
There's still a stream going on. You can hear us.
Yeah.
All right. What? Whoops. And I'll send this out to some of our other friends that are on Discord.
That's fair. Hey, Shim, good to see you. I'm glad you're alive, like I knew you always will be. Thank you for sticking around. So let's go over some of the stuff going on in general. I guess we're talking about cancel culture because that's pretty much what everything's been about, kind of. And a lot of people are getting canceled in various weird ways. Some of them are actually quite hilarious. Some are horrible, and some are a lot of other things. So I'm going to talk about my week with this whole thing and how awkward it's kind of been.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, my host from my Let's Play channel is apparently telling us we need better graphics.
Oh yeah. And should probably turn this back on. There we go. Now you can see my logo again.
Oh, okay. So we have the logo again. Hey,
just to have something to look at while the stream is going on.
Yeah, true. Is it possible to actually change the logo or at least images if we need to on stream?
Yeah, fixed it, Phoenix. I got you some graphics. Okay. And there's a suspicious pie in the middle of the room for some reason.
I know these people. He's a very suspicious pie, but I like this. So cancel culture has been kind of a big thing, apparently. But it's kind of awful that. All right, I'm going to talk about some of this in the fact is I hate the witch hunt mentality here. I hate how everybody dog piles on everything. That's the worst part about all of this because a lot of this doesn't have investigation. It's a lot of people airing grievances over Twitter without, proof. And the problem is with some of this cases, even if I know it's there, I'm kind of guilty of this in myself, I will admit, because I have one person that I'm technically part of the cancel culture with, and I hate that because I feel like I'm a hypocrite on this one. But, I'm just going to be honest about it and at least talk about what I know.
Well, let's put it this way: we all know someone who we agree should be canceled, but it has gone way too far on some levels.
There's one guy I know. I called him Dan, and we're never going to talk about him again. Fuck Dan. But no. Okay, I'll talk about some of the more interesting. So because I'm part of the comic scene, I've been keeping an eye out on the cancel culture, and right now there are 3 major figures who are getting canceled. As far as I can tell, there might be more. I know there's one guy, and I'm going to talk about him, who worked at Dark Horse, named Scott Alley as well. So.
Oh, you're right about that, Phoenix. Holy crap. How far back did someone look to get, was it Dr. Disrespect banned?
So I'm actually going to talk about this because there's some rumors about it, but I'm going to say if the rumor is true, then that's fucked up. If it's not, hopefully we'll get some proof or corroborating evidence. But
hopefully.
I'll talk about it in a second.
But yeah, there's a lot of people.
So maybe we should handle this. Let's go with the video game stuff first, since, let's get everybody interesting.
Yeah.
So,
well, before I go into Angry Joe, I just heard that Chris Avalon got canceled.
Yes.
Removed from games over assault allegations.
So I follow on Twitter a guy called Kung Fu Man, and I have issues with Kung Fu Man to an extent. He's an okay dude sometimes, but I have issues with one thing he handled recently. But I still follow him because information's information. I don't endorse people. Hell, like there's one writer who I hate what allegations came up against him. They're true, but it's one of those things. Anyway, information's information. He has friends and contacts in the industry that say they're probably true. He's more trustworthy than most people on this case usually. Like, to give you an idea, anyway. But the allegations on Chris Avallone are right now allegations we don't really know. He's gone radio silent on the whole thing, so we don't really have anything perspective from him. A lot of people are going just radio silent right now.
Yeah. And that's just... I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, we've seen... And keep in mind, Chris Avallone, he's a big guy in the gaming industry. He has worked on various games like Dying Light 2. He's also been working on Vampire the Masquerade. He's, in fact, working on Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, because that's not out yet.
I would call him a cult figure.
Yeah.
And this is one of the sad things about like people like him, is that a lot of people, he never had like the big breakout hit game that would have made him like famous, but well, okay, there's Fallout, but Fallout 1 and 2 were cult games until Fallout 3, really. I hate saying that. Like, I know some Fallout fans might be ticked off, but like, let's be honest here. And it really blows what happened, because I really respect his work as a creator, and if the allegations are true, and I hope that people actually give some fucking goddamn evidence, or at the very least, we hear more about it, or one of the reasons, because with Chris Avallone, we also have to note some suspect things, is that he was moving from company to company, blah, blah, blah. When you move company to company, that usually either means that either you're a pain to work with, or the company is a pain to work with. And eventually you have to look at, is it him? And like I said, I don't like blaming people without fucking goddamn proof,
It's one of the things I've noticed in the article I was reading is that he is there are a lot of companies associated with him at this moment. There's like Paradox Interactive, there's I don't have the article up anymore because my phone crapped out, so there's a few others.
To be fair, the Vampire Masquerade stuff is kind of hilarious, because that game is rife with controversy now, especially after what happened with White Wolf nearly causing an international incident.
Well, that's because they got a lot of extremist writers on their side who are more worried about like writing stories that impact the world than just good stories. So they're trying to bring in current events.
Well, they decided to take on the Chechenian government, and we're like, yo, Chechnya, you're controlled by vampires. And Chechnya was like, what? And caused an international incident.
Well, you wanted to impact the world with your writing. There you go.
Man, they didn't even... Like, they made an entire game about playing Ghost in the Holocaust, and that didn't nearly draw that much attention.
Yeah. Let's. Here's another idea. How about 9/11 was done by fairies, by fays?
That was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Or maybe. Or maybe the KKK was a bunch of vampire hunters. Who knows?
There's a lot of weird stuff in like. I love me my White Wolf games, but there's some weird lore in them. But okay, the Angry Joe one I do want to talk about, because that's actually kind of interesting. So...
Oh yeah, that happened just after we did our last stream.
So I actually am friends with a guy. So I've been talking to a guy on Twitter about this named Demiface, who's really cool. And we ended up agreeing, and I agree with him on this one. Angry Joe is too stupid to be a predator.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And I'll say, Okay, for one thing,
Actually, did you read the whole story of how that thing of how that went down? Where
I
apparently
saw it in real.
Angry Joe was just scheming and plotting the whole thing, even like taking her phone away and everything. It's like,
And then Angry Joe showed like his side of the thing and was like, "Yeah, yeah."
well, like
Like, like
you're talking about the guy who can't even remember what date a video game came out during an interview.
well, that's kind of the thing. It's like Angry Joe is one of those guys who's so like he's like the friend you have who's always like 100, and subtle like he reminds me of one friend who's very loud, who I'm not going to mention by name, but I imagine people who know who I'm talking about are like, "Yep, yep." He's that one dude who can't be subtle at all. And here's the thing: if he was going to get canceled, it probably would have happened years ago with that guy with the glasses documentation. Like,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Medicare would have caused him to be canceled anyways.
it would have either been it wouldn't necessarily be Medicare. It would have been like the change the that it would have been sometime during the whole change the channel controversy. I remember that very well. If for people who don't remember,
That was a major thing that happened due to sexual assault allegations on
especially
Jew Wario, and the whole thing coming out that it was actually a it was happening for quite a while, but most of the people in charge of Channel Awesome covered it up.
well, they didn't want like, and it's one of those things of like they didn't know how, like it's such a fucked up thing, and I remember it very well. But yeah, no, it was one of those things of they covered it up pretty badly, I should say, by the way. And yeah, no, the whole thing ended up being, yeah. If we were going to hear allegations, they probably would have put it in the document that revealed it all. So I can't imagine. Now, it doesn't mean that Angry Joe. I don't know Angry Joe. I saw him at a con one time. I think. Jesus, I have to look that up. Whatever. Anyway, I saw Angry Joe. I saw that guy with the glasses people. But hey Philip.
Hi, Phil. Don't work too
Uh,
hard.
um, I saw that guy with the glasses people, and their whole thing, and I remember that whole event very well. But yeah, no, Angry Joe is so unsubtle that it'd be like, wait, how did we not know about this for years? Which brings me to, but yeah, and that's kind of one of the things where I'm coming on from. Like, for one thing, Angry Joe's probably going to be fine. Like, somebody tried to cancel him, but he thankfully kept the receipts. I'm not a big fan of his content at this point, but I'm not going to lie and say, look, the guy, somebody tried to cancel him. He managed to keep all the proof that says, oh,
Yeah, I
so
mean, if you read the documentation of the story that tried to cancel him, or like the accounts of like this one woman accounting the alleged abuse or
yeah,
alleged harassment, a lot of things started to contradict each other, even within the same document, within the same
yeah.
story.
Now, another YouTuber who did get kind of canceled, but this was kind of going back years, and I only discovered him very recently because I was just like, huh, this guy seems like he's kind of cool, and I didn't know anything about the allegations against him, nor did I realize he confessed to the allegations. Uh, so there's this YouTuber called Chaseface.
What?
Have you ever heard of him?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'll sum up the whole thing. Uh, hey, Jmon949. I don't know who you are, but you're cool. I am. Uh, yeah, no, Chase Face. I just was exposed to their stuff, and I liked their stuff, and then I realized that they were a grooming pedophile, and they confessed to it.
Okay, well, I bid you welcome the 99,999th Jamin clone that there is in our chat.
Apparently.
At least that's what I think that 9999999 stands for.
Yeah, so Chase Face, I didn't realize. Look, I'm gonna admit, I did watch their content this week. I didn't realize they were in that special, and now I'm like, okay, fuck this. No, I'm like, you had some good points, man, but I'm not dealing with your content, nor do I want to deal with you in any way. Like I said, Chase Face is one of those guys. He helped out with Dragon Ball Z Abridged, Ruby, and a couple other things.
Oh man, this is some big stuff.
Yeah, the guy's a groomer apparently, and I didn't know this, and maybe it's because by the time Green Saber, hello, Green Saber, nice to meet you. Anyway, I think we're getting more people than I expected. So hey, we're talking about, unfortunately, cancel culture and other stuff. We'll try and make this entertaining as possible. But I guess I should say I'm Exalted Speed on my Twitter and other things, and Scarfy here. So I'm gonna say, since we have a bunch more people here joining us,
we're getting more people than usual, actually.
Yeah, well, ask us. Well, yeah. So we're gonna make notes of this. So ask us any questions you guys want. I'm always happy to answer anything on comics, video games, anime, or stupid stuff. And no, Shim, we're not here to cancel Dragon Ball Z Abridged. They already did that. We can't do a thing.
This is just gonna keep going and going.
Because they're in that guy with the glasses zone of making something that wasn't so popular that they were hoping would be popular. So, like, they're in what I like to call the demo reel zone of their career right now. So either cause them to go back to Dragon Ball Z Abridged to get that popularity back, or they actually find something that makes people happy. We'll see. It really depends. I'm not saying anything at this point, but yeah. So, but it's nice to meet new people here.
Yeah.
And I hope. So let's.
Trying to remember what other people were canceled. Well, all were canceled as of late. Because I know there were like a few. Who was that one YouTuber that specialized in, what is it, video games? Well, old school video games like Nintendo and everything.
There's a lot of those, Mike.
Yeah, but I was thinking it was like that one guy who apparently it was alleged that he was sending his dick pic to underage people on his Discord, or something like that, or that he was actually cheating on his wife.
What is cancel culture in a nutshell?
I mean,
can basically described as the modern mob mentality given form in the internet.
I mean, that's the thing. So many people have been canceled. I am starting to forget who's who. And I know these are some of the big people.
Wait, Mike Matei was Mike Matei? Fuck.
So holy Mike shit! I mean, I wasn't thinking of Mike Matei. There's like one guy on Normal Boots, I think.
So
I was thinking of.
I know who he's talking about. Mike Matei was the assistant to Angry Video Game Nerd. To be fair, Pro Jared got canceled a while back, and he kept the receipts and managed to sort of exonerate himself. I think, I don't remember. He got back his base, but I don't think he's ever going to get back to where he was at.
Yeah, I mean, that shows you the power of cancel culture. Even if you manage to come back from it, you don't come back fully.
Yeah, so well, it always happens because it kind of dogs your career no matter what you
Yeah.
do, and that's one of the things of like.
So yeah, Pro Jared, I would say is one of the best case
Now,
scenarios if you ever get canceled.
well,
Worst case scenario is
well,
that one guy who was accused by Zoe Quinn of all people. Ah, jeez.
oh,
I'm blanking out on his name all of a sudden. I
are you
knew
talking
it.
about Aaron Groge or wait, the guy who did Man in the Woods,
Holako. It's like Alex Holako or something.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where he basically, where he killed himself. Yeah, no,
Yeah, he committed suicide after that because he knew there was no going back.
No, especially in that circle of friends, unfortunately. And look,
Well, that's because they're not really friends. They're allies. It's like they're only united by the same ideology.
Well, I guess I know what you're saying, man. I wouldn't say. I would say like I would say one of the big problems is with like cancel culture is that like humans like to create villains no matter what we do. And we like to have these things we can, take down. And we want that gratification of taking down the big, scary, fucking goddamn villain, like, like anybody does. Because it's easy. And it's like, it makes us feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, the way you become a hero is that you slay a villain. And if you don't have a villain, you create one.
Yeah, and I always been very careful about what villains I create myself because I was bullied in high school heavily myself, and I always remember one of the things is I grew up with Magneto as a major character when I was growing up. And he's like one of the major Jewish supervillains, and as a Jewish dude, I always felt that his lesson of becoming the monster you hate always resonated with me. You know? And I always try to make sure that if I fight a monster, I don't become the monster. I have to be very careful and think about what consequences my actions have, or if I'm doing the right thing. And not a lot of people have that perspective, And I'm not saying I'm better than everyone else here, people. I'm just saying that humanity in general, it's very hard to, when you hate something, to kind of slow down and think, maybe what if I'm the bad guy? It's very hard to do, and I'm not good at it sometimes, But we're human, so
yeah, you got to be aware of it.
Yeah, but one of the things about it is that it's always going to be like this problem of, oh, look at me, we have something, and there are occasions where we need to expose abusers. We need to expose people in power who are fucking over people, because that has to happen sometimes. But we shouldn't do it through Twitter or social media. It has to happen from like somewhere else. And like, you're not, look, just because you post about it on Twitter doesn't make you some type of like,
I was about to get a bingo card out when I heard the Chris Avaloon story. It's like, let's see, broken out by a left-wing gaming site like Gamma Sutra, and it was called out on Twitter.
Well, that's kind of one of the things is I'm always a little bit suspect with anything involving Gamma Sutra, Polygon, or Kotaku, unfortunately, because of the whole Alex Holenkas shit.
Yeah.
I wish, I hate saying that, but when something like that happens where I have to go, I really don't trust the sources. And I know I hate that. I really don't like this whole thing of like, I have to stop and think, oh, shit, this is probably wrong. There's a mob culture. And if you say, no, we need to get proof first, actual proof, then, people are just going to be like, no, well, you're only helping the abuser. And I'm like, no, look.
Well, remember how this whole thing started with Harvey Weinstein? Part of the reason why everyone jumped on board is because there was proof. There was audio evidence of him being a creeper.
dude, Harvey Weinstein, you can go back. Here's the thing about Harvey Weinstein that's special. You can, if you look at the works produced under him or around him, they make reference to it. Like, Harvey Weinstein is basically like, like he's the sleazy Hollywood producer. He definitely was. And this is one of those cases of, you can't just say, like James Gandolfini nearly punched the guy out because he was a fucking goddamn creeper. And you can't really avoid that with him. So, anyway, I don't. Anyway, like I said, it's been this whole thing. Now I'm gonna talk about the world of comic books because we got 3 major figures in comics. Actually, well, 4 kind of. I'm gonna go over them a bit because these are the ones who got actually 5. This is the whole thing, and so, and Mike, you don't follow comics, so I'm gonna have to explain some shit for people. And,
yeah, this is your wheelhouse.
It's my wheelhouse. So let's go over the major ones, and I'll go over least important to majorly important. Okay, I'll try. So the first one is Scott Alley. Now, if you're wondering about Scott Alley and who he is, and you probably never heard of him. He's never been a big name in comics, I'll say, but he was an editor at Dark Horse Comics, which created Hellboy, Yosaki Yojimbo, and a bunch of other comics. Hopefully you probably read, or like if you were a fan of Star Wars comics, you might have seen his name in a bunch of them. Anyway, Scott Alley was he tended to like the young men in comics a lot. And let's just say this was a well-known issue within the company. So Scott Alley abused male comic book creators. Basically just, hit on them, made threatening remarks, apparently, and everything in between. This has been stuff that's been said on Twitter, so, and this is also old rumor in comics. Now, if you're wondering why Dark Horse hasn't really done much about it till recently, Dark Horse is one of the only few comic companies that is privately owned. So basically, it's owned by the owner. He hires whoever he wants. It's very unique in the comic book industry since it's not a publicly traded company like IDW or anything else. So that's pretty interesting. But this has also been one that's been known for years. During the first wave of cancel culture, his name was brought up. It's just that now that we're in another wave of it, his name is getting brought up again. So this guy is what we like to call a sequel. So let's go over to the next one. Is Cameron Stewart. He's getting canceled for one very simple reason. He dated 16-year-olds, and he's like 30. Now, in his case, the reason he's also getting canceled is because he draws comics aimed at younger females. So, yeah, I kind of get it in this case. He worked on Batgirl and a couple other books. I believe he helped design the more normal-looking Batgirl uniform that you see everywhere. Anyway, he's getting canceled. It's very simple. There's proof of it. Cut and dry in this case. I actually think this is one of those cases of, okay, I understand. This is fucked up. All right. Now, the next one that I find the most interesting is Warren Ellis. So, Mike, you might be more familiar with Warren Ellis. I'll go over some of his works. Castlevania.
Yep.
He wrote the series for that. In comics, he's known for Planetary, The Authority, Transmetropolitan, and a bunch of other comics he never finished because he didn't want to finish them. Nice guy. Whatever, his hard drive exploded, and apparently that prevented him from finishing all these amazing comics. Like, as a Warren Ellis fan, and I will admit this, So Warren Ellis's problem is this is where I kind of like have to squint at cancel culture and say, what the fuck are you doing? And stop using those terms. Warren Ellis, in his case, is accused of grooming people. Now, here's the problem. Grooming is specifically meant for underage people. It's not meant for somebody who's 18 or 20 or 21. Now, it's a scuzzy thing that Warren Ellis hits on younger girls. That's scummy. That's wrong. Don't do that. Look, at the end of the day, Warren Ellis used his popularity with certain people to get sex. Like, basically, what Warren Ellis is accused of is having groupies. And I'm going to be honest, I really don't think he should be totally canceled for it. A lot of the victims who are coming out about it are saying, we just want him to be better. It's just a fucked up situation. Weirdly fucked up. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's weird, honestly. And then that's kind of unique about it, and one reason why it's interesting to talk about. Because, again, Guy isn't actually grooming anybody. You know? But okay, the next one up is Kate Leth. Now, for people who don't know Kate Leth, and I'll go over this, hi, Guardian Spicer.
Okay, yeah.
Remember that woman with the pink hair who's a bit heavyset? Who's used for memes with that one?
Yeah.
That's her.
Wow.
So this
all you had to say was "Hi, Guardian Spice," and I already have an idea of who would be behind it.
Yes, we do. Hi, Guardian Spicer is the case in this one. Anyway, Kate Leth, she also did the Adventure Time comics. She wrote a couple episodes for Transformers, Cyberverse. And, yeah. She's getting canceled, but not in the usual way somebody would get canceled. So let me explain this, because this is going a couple years back. So back during the Halcyon days of probably around 2014, maybe 2013, like the Halcyon days when we weren't so Twitter obsessed and blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe we were, whatever. Anyway, back in the Halcyon days, Kate Leth started a group called the Valkyries, which was meant to help women working in comic shops and support them. Which, okay, fair enough. Like, I worked in comic shops, and I'm going to be honest, I think that's a worthy goal in this case. Like, whatever you want to say, I've met some creepers in comic book shops on occasion, and, like, I can kind of understand why, even with stereotypes, I worked at a more, I'm going to say, liberal.
I think we already have a story of a creeper in a comic book shop, but I don't think you want to tell it here.
I don't want to talk about certain. Look, at this point, I'll say this. I'll say this with other things with this whole thing. So what happened was she created this entire network of people trying to, make a whole thing. And here's the problem. She got accused of course, white women feminism. Which, yeah, that's actually fair in her case. She's very... I'll say this, Kate is one of those people who... And, here's the thing. You can look on Twitter, look up her name, and people are basically just bashing her. And she's always tried to promote herself as this, social person in the comic book scene who wants to make it, I want to make it more friendly to women, young adults. We need to have more YA authors. And apparently she created such a clique atmosphere that people are sick of it. And let me be honest about comic books as a fan. They can be cliquey as hell. and I hate it. It's annoying. It's problematic on its own. Yes, I use problematic, but I think it actually is because you don't get hired based on skill. There's no way of apprenticing and learning under people. You get hired by the people you know. And she was very much one of those people. And if she didn't like you, she'll try to have you gone from like this whole thing. And this happened to basically like black female creators, people in this group of Valkyries. And the entire thing just exploded. The reason, and here's the thing, I know it because I was kind of there for it. A bunch of the people I worked in the comic shop with actually were part of that group. And I kept an eye on it out of curiosity. Because it's one of those things that just like, you know, it's an interesting thing. And I always felt like I had to support people I was working with, you know? Be a good dude. Help them out. Like a man. But with stuff like this, you know, she ended up fucking people over, apparently. And now she's getting called out for her cliquish behavior on Twitter. And here's the thing. She hasn't made a Watchmen. She hasn't made a Transmetropolitan. Hell, she hasn't had a run on Daredevil. Or She-Hulk or anything that anyone will defend. She did a run on Patsy Walker Hellcat that had really good art and then really bad art. If I could show you the art from one issue, you will basically say, how the fuck did this get published? It's probably some of the worst art I've ever seen in American comics. I almost want to say that Liefeld is a better artist than that issue at any time in his career. And when I say that Liefeld is better than something, that's usually a good mark for, oh god. So, yeah, no, Kate Leth's getting canceled. And the next one is, I gotta look up the name of this guy, but I'm going to talk about it. So, this one's pretty major, and it has to do with the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. And if you don't know what this is, I feel bad with this one on some level because let me talk about the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. It's a comic book group that fights censorship in the United States and Canada. If they feel your rights of free speech are being trampled upon in your art, they fight for your rights. And they do it basically for anyone. So it doesn't matter. It's like, look, they helped out Neil Gaiman and everyone in between. Like, they're pretty big, pretty important. But one of their head executives has been known to like come on to women, sexually harass women, all that jazz. And so now people are trying to cancel the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund to try and get rid of this guy. I'm not sure how I feel about this for one reason, is that on the one hand, it's one executive, and while I want him gone, I also feel that what the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund does for creators is more important. Fighting for your right to publish your material. As much as it's mad that they might help somebody you don't like, the fact that they'll fight for it is more important to me as like a person. But I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know every detail about this story. But the fact that people are trying to cancel it because of this one dude, I don't know how to feel, honestly. Other than, I almost want to say we have to look at the bigger picture, and hopefully they'll make a statement about it soon. But I don't know exactly how much they're going to have to do, because again, they're also a law firm, essentially. So they might be staying silent to not deal with to figure out the problem internally until they can make a statement. And that might be what's taking so long. So those are the 5 big ones of the comic book industry.
Yeah, this is like an explosion of Me Too moments happening all at once.
Well, like I said, I'm not against Me Too moments as like again, abusive people need to get called out, and that's just the truth of it. But the fact is, one of the big problems with this is that the severity of what's getting called out is all over the place. Some, yes, should be gone. They need to be taken care of. But others are like, that's scuzzy, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. It sucks. It sounds like more bad relationship. And that sucks to say because to a lot of people, they might feel like, yeah, I got victimized and I need justice. But sometimes you also have to just let things go. And that sucks to say, you know? And I'll say this. I was, back when I was in high school, I essentially ended up on the wrong end of somebody and I got essentially harassed sexually myself. I'm not happy about it. I had to fight to talk about it, and that's hard to say.
Yeah.
Um
In fact, I know a guy who was
so
falsely accused himself, and
so
I've actually talked to him about it. And just knowing the guy and how he acts, I mean, he's pretty much at the level where he feels like he has to call out everyone else's uh, sexual harassment or like sexual like or any kind of inappropriate behavior. Otherwise, he might get accused again. So this thing is gonna start perpetuating itself, where people feel like
so
the only way to avoid getting accused is to accuse others.
so Green Saber's asking how grooming happens, and I'll try and be honest about it as possible. Grooming can happen in a bunch of different ways. Is one, honestly, uh, young people try to reach out to people who understand them, and oftentimes they'll try to reach out to celebrities or people they look up to. Um, honestly, the only thing to really prevent, and that just happens, like they do it through email and a bunch of other things, message boards and stuff like that. And the only way to prevent grooming, and this is the sad part, in my opinion, is parents. They have to step in and know what their kids are doing. But oftentimes, kids aren't always going to be forward with their parents. And it's not something that can be easily done. In cases like Warren Ellis, a lot of the people he was talking to were over age. So he wasn't trying to prepare them for sex or shit like that. Well, okay. He forced them into sexual relationships. He used his charisma, but they were over age. At that point, they're adults. And adults, when you reach a certain age, you also have to accept that your actions do have consequences. When you're younger, yeah, less so. But when you're 18 and over, yeah. When you're 16, that's fucked up. When you're 30, like, the only way to prevent grooming is for parents to step in or somebody to step in, a guardian or someone else. And that's just the truth of the matter. It's not something that can exactly always be prevented because, again, we're humans. We can't do shit sometimes, and we don't always know what's behind closed doors. But the only way to prevent stuff is that if you're going to prevent it from happening to people around you, talk to people, tell them what's inappropriate, if tell them before they're at that age where they think about that stuff, that if some older man talks to you on the internet, leave him alone. And yep, you're right, Saber. Adults under 25 can still be vulnerable, and I'm not saying they can't be, especially in cases of mentally handicapped. But there's a certain point in life where you have to sometimes, and this is something that you kind of have to come to as you mature older, you have to let people make their own mistakes. And yes, they are vulnerable and they're going to fuck up, but eventually you're going to just have to be able to live with your own fuck ups. And saying that's hard because people don't like hearing, hey, I fucked up. Nobody does. But the thing is that you have to realize how vulnerable you are and either take care of that yourself, tell people around you to help you, and it's very hard to say what is vulnerable or not sometimes, especially as you get older. I'll say this, like, the thing about when you're growing up is that you're going to make a lot of hard choices, mistakes, and stuff, and there's never going to be an easy answer. The only thing I can say is you have to be able to make judgment calls. Like, there's no
And
easy
some
way of
people are better
handling.
at judgment calls than others, even at a younger age.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. Like,
I mean, I don't think there's a magic number where it just says, "Okay, you know everything now," or "You understand how the
oh,
world
you're
works
always
now."
going to learn. It's like if you're growing up, you're always going to have to fucking learn. It's just the fact of life.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I
the
know a
fact
woman
is,
who's pushing
you
30, and she still seems kind of naive and innocent about
yeah,
certain things.
my mom is like 60 and she's, despite everything, sometimes she's naive on some stuff. But I'll say this, when you're growing up, you're going to have to learn when, because here's the thing. Well, the reason that we try to say 18 as the age of like consent is so that way it's like at this point you're going to have to be more responsible for yourself. And now, not saying it's always true for everyone. Mentally handicapped adults and other people need help. But that's also one of the things about it is that a person has to also realize when they need to ask for help or talk to other people. And unfortunately, people don't really realize that you have to build up trust in relationships and try and figure out what you need to do to protect yourself. And if that means not going online, you don't go online. If that means everything else, you have to make those choices. Like, I recently got into Twitter and I was afraid of it, but I figured I can, but doing it, I'm handling it pretty well, I would say. But that's what I'm saying is that you have to figure out how you're vulnerable and do something about it. And that's not easy. It's one of those things of just like you have to just, you know, be prepared for it sometimes, and you have to realize that. And sometimes that means not trusting a person or something else, or being aware of red flags. I've had to learn how to deal with red flags. Like there was this one guy when I was growing up, I'm going to call him, yeah, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to call him for this. I'm going to call him
Subject
Drasher.
Zero.
We're going to call him Subject Zero for this one. So Subject Zero was one of my first friends outside of high school, and he went through basically what I can best be described as a fucking goddamn mental breakdown. And if you think you're that friend who has the goddamn mental breakdown, you're not. I have had friends who had mental breakdowns and have recovered from it. But this guy ended up becoming such a creep and looking back, there were red flags I didn't notice then, but now I know about them because I dealt with them, and that's the sad part. Sometimes the only way you get experience is just dealing with these things, and it's not going to be easy for everyone. The fact is, when dealing with these things, you have to be able to learn what to look for. And also, and this is something everybody needs to do, learn when to get someone out of, like, here's the thing, cutting someone out of your life or not talking to them ever again when you discover that, like, you can't, you have to just avoid it. But Green Saber, you're making some good points on this one. Yeah, you have to, like I said, it's one of those things of just there's no easy way to solve it other than experience situation changes and making your own judgment calls sometimes. And that's just, and it sucks because in life there are unfortunately no guarantees. And you have to kind of live with that. And hopefully what you learn will be enough to protect you. But yeah, no, this has been a depressing topic. I hope we were an entertaining or at least a thoughtful
I don't know how to make this entertaining. You guys want me to play a game? I mean, I could play a game and you could watch that and just pretend that we're having fun.
We apparently decided for our second episode to fucking get serious for now.
Yeah, I didn't even think we were gonna be this serious. I mean, I figured it was like we would just address the Angry Joe situation, and holy crap, it's bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's like maybe I'll play like a Happy Children. Maybe I'll play Kirby's Adventure just to lighten the mood a little bit.
Oh god, I found the.
It's like, yeah, let's talk about people grooming people while you see a cute little pink blob eat creatures.
So, do we want to go with a dark theory that Meta Knight is grooming Kirby?
Oh my god.
I now am awful, and I am sorry. I apologize for that horrible fan theory. Thank you.
It's 2020. We're not allowed to have fun anymore. No, apparently we're not allowed to feel safe anymore because every few seconds there's a new apocalypse happening. That's 2020.
Yeah. Look. The only thing I care about: can I still build my Gundam model kits? That's what I care about the most.
Well, at the rate we're going, we're gonna need a real Gundam.
They're actually already kind of working on that. Right now, the latest Gundam statue project they're working on is actually a walking Gundam.
If it walks, then it's not a statue. It's a robot.
I know! I'm kind of not sure how to feel about this, because I basically have been watching a bunch of anime that's been saying giant robots aren't realistic, and I'm like, well, I guess we can't say giant robots aren't realistic anymore.
You guys know that statues are supposed to stay in one place, right?
Yes. I'm just kind of shocked that we've gotten to this point in technology where a giant robot is being built right now in Japan that looks like the original Gundam. And I don't. It's a weird feeling. It's like, how much power does this one Japanese toy company have to make this happen? It's shocking. It's
Now, if only we could build one in Greece that looks like the Colossus of Rhodes.
That's true. That's true.
And moves like the Ray Harryhausen one.
Anyway, but like I say, we'll see how everything with cancel culture goes from at this point. And Green Saber, I understand like the whole thing with people and doing what you have to do. I'm glad and thank you, J-Mon, for saying we were good. I didn't expect that conversation to come out as well as it did. Because it's a hard thing to talk about with these things. Isn't that giant Gundam made out of recycled items? I'm not sure. I gotta look up. I saw it being built in a giant hangar. So, you are right. We need the Zeus Gundam. A toy company taking over the world sounds like a fun dystopia. Okay, all right. Let's.
You know what? I would go with that. I'm fine with that.
Oh my god, I want to kind of see that. Of like, imagine people build like cars out of Transformers and shit, and like we have like cars with giant arms or something.
I'm just trying to remember. Oh jeez. Just imagine if game companies started taking over the world. What would the world be like if we were under, say, Ubisoft?
So for every breath of air we take, we have to pay 15 cents.
Oh, God.
You see, air is DLC.
It's like, air is a subscription model, and Comforts of Living is a DLC.
So I remember there was like this one meme of EA a couple years ago that this is one of my favorite jokes I ever made. Was there was a keyboard that was like that had like money on it and was like, if this was run by EA, this is what the keyboard would look like. And I said, that's unrealistic. The vowels and sometimes Y are DLC.
Well, I'm just joking. I mean, we all know that the only game company that's gonna take over the world is Tencent.
It's either going to be Tencent or Disney at this point. We'll see what happens with Tencent because there's always weird news about them. I hope that they fuck up at some point, but we'll see
Oh,
what
dude,
happens.
this whole like soft power thing is getting out of hand. They've taken over. They bought out. What was it? Night Dives, System Shock 3.
Yeah, apparently.
So yeah, now that's going to them, and everyone's worst fears have now come true. It's like Night Dive is now working for Tencent on System Shock 3.
We'll see how that fucking turns out. So what will happen with what will happen with this movie? What will happen with this is that who was the main villain of System Shock? I'm trying to remember her name.
Shodan.
Shodan will be replaced by whoever is the most popular League of Legends character at that moment.
Yeah. Actually, if you really wanted to troll Tencent, replace Shodan with Winnie the Pooh.
Oh God, that would be amazing. Hello,
Dude,
my.
if this game is moddable, make that mod.
Actually, that would actually be kind of great because it's like, hello, engineer. I need you to go out into the dark corridors and get me some honey. It would be so ever helpful. Oh, look, you picked up a wrench and beat Piglet in the head. He was quite the bother.
My sensors scan your honey. It appears you do not have enough honey, hacker. Oh my. Yeah, and if it comes out and you can mod it, make a Winnie the Pooh mod.
That would probably be. I would actually play that game entirely in Winnie the Pooh. Oh look!
Oh yeah, I've heard of the game Gamer, the movie Gamer. By the way, I think a dystopian future where everything's run by a game company would probably look a lot more like what was that recent movie with the VR stuff?
Are you talking about like? Are you talking about? I know the one you're talking about. It was directed by Steven Spielberg, right?
Yeah.
What was that one? Fucking A! It was a big deal, like a couple years ago. Oh, now I feel bad. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, the Oasis.
Ready Player One. Thank
Ready
you.
Player One.
Okay, sorry. I had to think about that name for like 10 seconds.
But yeah, it's like Tencent's taking over everything. I mean, in fact, they even took over Cyberpunk 2077, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I wasn't having high hopes for anyways after their next few trailers. I mean, one thing, it doesn't look like the actual Cyberpunk that I know of. It would have gotten excited about. It doesn't even look like its teaser trailer anymore. Oh man.
Well, like in all seriousness,
it's more like synthwave punk. It has more in common with Far Cry Blood Dragon than it does with Cyberpunk.
I'll say this, that might be intentional because the original game did come out in the 80s, so maybe they're going for that whole thing, you know, which, yeah, okay. So, I'll see how that game turns out. If I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I like it.
Just lay off the neon lights. Just lay off the neon lights for a little bit. Everything's too glowy.
To be fair, I bought a giant neon transformer recently, so I can't really say anything here.
Yeah, that always bothered me to see neon glowing lights on weapons and armor.
Look, I'm sorry, I bought a giant pink robot truck, man. Look, his name is.
Like, I don't know. It's like if you're trying to sneak into a corporate building, hacking into things, and taking out guards silently, you probably don't want to be glowing in the dark. Or you probably don't want a laser weapon that glows so brightly that it tells everyone, hey, shoot here, Nimrod. Not unless you're a boss character, of course.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But yeah, We've finally gotten lighter now. We're on a more positive subject. Let's make fun of games that were bought out by Tencent.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, Tencent and stuff. I'm gonna be interested in seeing how things go from there. Though, honestly, I've been kind of caring about other things more often because we're getting an animated Superman movie, which looks really good, and I'm shocked to say that. Because and Superman's in his red underwear. We don't have to see the blue crotch again. I hope. Jeez, God. I know that doesn't seem like the best news in the world to some people, but I think Superman needs his red underwear because it just looks better.
Yeah.
I I'm willing to have a fervent debate about this. But I'm gonna say you're wrong no matter how it comes out. Joking aside with this, that's what I'm looking forward to right now because I can be mad about like everything else in the world, but the world's the world. It's gonna have to unfortunately move on, and I'm also going to have to like because here's the thing.
The world is going into Ragnarok right now.
It is, and what you're gonna have to do is you're going to have to make some choices where you're going to have to figure out how you're going to keep your sanity. Because right now, with everything in the world, and I always stress this out to people, figure out like what you're going to do with yourself and figure out how you can take care of yourself. Because here's the thing, if you drown in negativity all the time, you're fucking yourself over more so than you realize. I'm seeing a friend who's doing this right now, who's probably not listening to this podcast, thankfully, so I don't have to be. I see a friend doing this right now, and I feel so sorry for him, and he's just hurting, and there's not really anything I can do. The only thing I can say is you have to be able to take yourself out of some situations and be able to put something on the back burner because a lot of things in the world are going to make you upset, and you always have to be like, I can be upset about this, but is there anything I can do about it right now? And if you can't, you can't. And what you need to do is help the people around you if possible. That's my opinion. I try to take the Superman approach to everything where it's basically like, save the people who you can in front of you right now. Do what you need to. Help them. And, like the world's going to shit, but I lived in Kuwait where there was like, burned down buildings everywhere. That was seeing real shit. This was a country that was invaded, but the world's going to go on.
Well,
Right
obviously,
now-
Chaz is the army of the dead there, Suspicious Pie.
The Chaz is basically. I almost want to call it like an unintentional art project.
Yeah, good old Chazakstan, or now it's called Chop, which means now I have to work on my Chopanese. I mean, which one is it? Is it Mandarin or is it Cannot Police?
Oh, fuck you. That's a good joke, but fuck you.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Look.
and as for the fire giants,
look, as a guy,
I don't know, maybe the buildings that they've been burning down?
Look, as a guy who's both a Russian and German Jew, I can't associate with anyone because basically they already kicked me out of their countries.
Yeah.
Joking aside, and for people who don't get that, I had ancestors who were kicked out because of communist Russia and fascist Germany. So I fuck everyone. Joking aside, so my
ancestors kept getting invaded by everyone.
Oh, yeah, basically. Well, to be fair, Mike, you're basically like
Well, I got ancestors everywhere too, so chances are one of my ancestors was probably the invaders.
Your ancestors invaded your ancestors. They're just like, I
Yeah.
have to remain politically neutral because my existence literally depended on it.
I mean, same here. I mean, I know I pretty much have no dog in this race because I'm not enough of one thing for either side.
Now, to be fair, look, man, we have to take whatever we can. All I know is that since Judaism is one of those weird cases of I can use it as a trap card on people. To be fair, God, I actually do want to kind of talk about this one thing because I'll always say this. So recently, New York Times published an article by the about I think I gotta look up her name, Valerie Scolaris and her Scum Manifesto, which okay, I'm gonna explain this and how I was exposed to it for the first time. So there's this movie called I Shot Andy Warhol. You see, Valerie Scolaris is let's just say that she, since this is YouTube and I don't want this taken down, I'm going to have to use various metaphors. We're gonna go with this, okay? All right. Cool. Everybody cool with this? Mike, you cool with this?
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
All right. So she was Master Chief, and she had to take out some covenants. One of the covenants was Andy Warhol, and you see, she was able to take out the 3 of the covenant people in attempting to take down the boss, Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol survived and she lost, and so got a game over where she ended up in jail for the rest of her life. Okay, cool. Now I got that metaphor out of the way because, look, I can easily compare her to recent event type things, but I don't know how YouTube's handling that thing. So I'm just being careful here. Just know she hurt a lot of people at the very least. So we're just gonna move on from this
Really?
because, yeah. Anyway, she
Can
wrote the Scum Manifesto, and the Scum Manifesto. Okay, let me explain this whole thing. As a Jewish person, my dad is also a World War II buff, and this is very important to realize when you have a father who's a World War II buff. You get exposed to certain themes in movies all the time about what happened to your ancestors, to your grandparents or cousins. You know, they were off on a nice trip for a couple of years. That wasn't very. They lost a lot of weight. You're, and here's the thing. She, in the Scum Manifesto, she talks about putting men in concentration camps and genociding them. Now, a lot of feminist scholars like to defend this book because they think it's like satire and how the struggles, but I hate it because, look, she literally believed this. She said she believed it. Like, she was crazy, honestly. She was and she's kind of trying to be rewritten into this feminist hero when she's more similar to, say, like, I'm going to say his name is E. Rogers. E. Rogers. I'm being very vague here, but I think you can point, but I don't think I'm being vague enough. When she's more similar to somebody who's more recently like that. And she talked about, taking, like, hurting people in this manifesto, destroying their lives, everything about it. It's a hard read because, like I said, it's not something I want to see. And I learned from my father that you probably shouldn't put somebody on a pedestal who says you should go into concentration camps and get genocided. You know? You know?
Yeah.
Now,
And some people are saying that that is just satire. No, teaching a dog a trick is satire. That was freaking propaganda.
it's propaganda, honestly. But if you guys want to have fun with Valerie Solaris, here's a recommendation. Check out the Venture Brothers. There's an episode where they parodied the Scooby Gang, and what's great about it is that the Scooby Gang are all based on serial killers from the 20th century, and Velma is Valerie Solaris in that one. Find it; it's a good episode actually, and pretty funny. Fred is Ted Bundy. So there's some good stuff in that episode.
Well, I already know who I'm going to recommend that one to.
It's a pretty fun one, honestly, and I'm always interested. And Venture Brothers is just a good show about 20th century minutia like that.
Well, yeah.
And I always recommend it. It's one of my personal favorites of things. Well, this is I hope people enjoyed this podcast talking about depressing things.
I'm sure they did. And despite what you might have heard here, please don't cancel us. We just got started, guys.
Look, guys, I'm going to confess. When I was a kid, I used my fingers to pull out the pieces from gunpla sprues.
Oh my God.
Like a barbarian. I left the sprues on the model kit. Like a monster. I have my shame on display down where I keep my Gundams. But... oh... it's horrible, man. Alright, I'm also gonna say this. I own 5 Rob Liefeld comics. I don't know how to feel about that, but I own 5 of them. I can't be a comic critic. I actually think some of his work is okay and not bad. Oh, the humanity. And it gets worse from there. I have to be honest here. And this is the sad part. I don't know how to feel about this, but not every manga I started reading I finished. I haven't finished the entirety of Flame of Recca. How could I?
Oh yeah, speak of cancel culture, have you kept up with the Vic Mignogna situation? Because I've been out of the loop on that one for a while.
I have no. All I know is that it's been a case stuff. Actually, the funny part about it is that remember the whole Chase Face stuff is one of the reasons I came onto it was because of some Kick Fix stuff. And according to him, he remained neutral in the whole thing. But with everything going on, look, it's probably better if Vic doesn't get support from a guy who's actually a pedophile.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, this is why we need an anime guy in here as well. I mean, I cover...
dude, I watch a lot of anime. I'm actually very into this. Look, dude, I collect Gundams.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I literally...
You're the anime comic guy. I'm more or less the video game and horror gaming guy.
To be fair, there's not really much news in anime other than, like, a bunch of them are getting delayed due to COVID. Like, what can you talk about?
Oh, yeah.
Like, a bunch of them, that's, like, there's not much. There's some good ones, like Tower of God. I saw an entire video about spending $500 at Akiba over anime merchandise. That was actually very nice. It's nice to see people collect action figures. But I have to confess something, guys. I have not watched every mecha show ever. I still have to watch some shows.
Well, AJ, I mean, if you got some good animations, I mean, we'll be happy to display it to you. Display it on next streams or future streams. With your
Yeah.
permission, of course.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, we know AJ. I mean, I think he's on one of the Discords we hang out with.
I know AJ Shim very well. He actually is one of the artists for a comic I've written, so I know him very well.
Oh, that's awesome.
You met him actually. We know him in real life. He's a dude we know.
Well, it's been so long since I've actually seen people since the lockdown that I'm starting to forget people.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. You know,
It's like which person is which.
Next time I do a hangout, I'll invite you over probably. I miss hanging out with you. You're fun.
Yeah.
We can get pizza together.
Hey, yeah, it'll be just like old times. And maybe play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, God, I would love to play Dungeons and Dragons right now so badly. I haven't done it for months.
I know, right? It was like we haven't.
The itch is there. I literally have like 5 different ideas for 5 different campaigns.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I was like suffering a bit of writer's block, and then it's like, I don't have to worry about it. I can let and then like the writer's block went away a week after, and it's like, oh God, no. And now I like have a bunch of ideas. I have an idea for a superhero campaign, 2 different Gundam games, a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and possibly a Shadowrun campaign.
Yeah, and I know some people who want me to run a Call of Cthulhu game.
I have an idea for a Call of Cthulhu game. I don't know, man. Like seriously, this.
Oh, AJ was that guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're that dude. And look, most of the people in the chat we actually do know in real life. They're friends of ours, so hey, we won't call them out necessarily all the time. But
Okay. I'm starting to get faces to name tags now.
Yes, I do too. But, this has been an interesting, depressing, but I hope fun and entertaining stream.
Just remember, it's always darkest before the dawn, guys. Eventually, this too shall pass.
Look, the first batch of Me Too passed. This is also going to pass. We'll just have to see how everything turns out. A lot of what's been happening, though, I will say, is mostly blamed on the fact that a lot of people are just stuck inside with nothing to do.
Yeah, they're getting restless, and so they want to go out and start toppling. I'm gonna laugh if they try to topple the Gundam statue and it starts moving on them.
The sheer horror of that, actually.
You messed with the wrong statue, motherfucker!
Yo, messed with the wrong one. Well, Mike, I'm gonna have to tell you right now, I'm gonna have to cancel the stream. The stream has been very sad and depressing and has made me feel bad. The stream should not exist. It needs to get canceled. Ugh. How can we live with ourselves? Letting the stream happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have no way to actually end the stream with a visual joke of the stream getting canceled. I mean, my last video actually ended it with a joke of my video getting copyright claimed by Sony.
Well, guys. I guess we're gonna have to end it the only way how, since everybody's in. Hey, everybody, what are you going to do to cancel us? I want you in the chat to talk about what you're canceling us for. And we're just going to have to wait a couple seconds since we're clearly on delay here. So what are you canceling us for, people in the chat? What have we done to deserve to be canceled? And we'll see what happens. I feel bad about this, but, it's like wrestling. You got to end on a gimmick. And tonight's gimmick is cancellation. What have we done?
Actually, let's just make it the most obtuse and ridiculous thing you can think of.
Oh God, we played Sonic Heroes. Oh, you're right. God, Sonic Heroes. How could I listen to the Crush 40 magic?
Yeah, and I played Gone Home thinking it was an actual horror game.
Oh God, you poor bastard. Oh God, we're getting canceled for
Talking about cancel culture. It's
We-
cancelception.
oh God, we disturbed the plebeians.
They're just plebs anyways. We just I mean everyone's got disdain for them.
For making fun of cancer at your D&D games. Here's the thing is offensive to things.
Well, the thing is, you did make fun of cancer at the D&D game. Remember the healer who kept saying that we all have cancer?
Yeah, Bob the cleric, okay. Hi, my name is Bob the cleric.
Hey, here's the thing: is only offensive to certain things.
I have to ask you, you got cancer?
Yeah. God.
You don't have cancer? Well, then I'm entirely useless here. That's
It's
the
like-
entire character.
Well, good news is, you don't have mummy rot. Bad news is, you got cancer.
That was the character, yes. In a nutshell. God, it also reminds... But yeah, no, Bob the cleric is a frank... look, he's a running gag, honestly, I kind of keep alive because it made a girl I was into laugh at one point.
Yeah. Oh my god. I missed that game. That game was so much fun.
It was. I miss it too. So... Oh, I'm not going to say that one, Shim, but, you know... apparently we're...
Oh, come on, Shim. I am all of them right now.
Look, if you actually know Mike and know his background, he basically counts for at least every minority. Like, you put him in any show, and every minority shots up by at least 25%.
Genetics? What do you mean genetics included? I am genetically engineered to be the ultimate minority.
You kind of are.
I am growing a uterus even as we speak. Just from you talking.
This has gone into disturbing new levels of canceled.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm just trying to defend us from being cancelled.
Oh, God. Well, you know something, clearly, well, you know, Scarfy, apparently, you are all the things. So you're being canceled for apparently being all the things, including apparently white males. I don't, which is probably
well, that's why here's the thing is not offensive to all things. Because I am all things and I am not offended.
You are all things in life. But I think we'll end it there for tonight because we've been canceled, guys. We will come back next week under the rebooted Exalted Scarf episode 3. Except we're not going to have a rebooted episode 1 and 2 because those are just recap episodes.
Oh, yeah.
So tune in for the reboot where I will be played by Idris Elba.
And remember, folks, you can only be cancelled if you were uncancelled to begin with. Good night.
All right, guys. Apparently Phoenix has something he wants